All right, good morning. This is week 15, day 2. So, purple and gray classes that didn't have school today on Wednesday. This is your lesson for today. We're continuing our discussion, our talk on adding and subtracting rational expressions. And I'd like to do 4 problems with you. Here we go. Number 1. Number 1, we have x plus 6 over 2x plus 4 minus x minus 2 over 2x plus 4. All right, we see that we're combining two fractions by addition or subtraction, in this case subtraction. So we know we have to have a common denominator. Well, this is great. Our denominators are the same. They're both 2x plus 4, so we're ready to combine. So now I'm going to just write one fraction. We know we keep the same denominator, and now we just combine the numerators. Well, we're subtracting the numerators. X plus 6 minus x minus 2. Now, we talked about this yesterday. When we subtract x minus 2, we're subtracting the whole x minus 2. So we're subtracting all of x minus 2. This should remind us that we have to distribute. X minus x is 0. They cancel. 6 minus negative 2 is 8. So this is 8 over 2x plus 4. There, we've subtracted the two fractions. Our last question we have to ask is, can I simplify? And we can simplify if there's a common factor we can factor out of the numerator and denominator. And here we can factor out a 2. So I can factor out a 2 from the numerator, because 2 times 4 is 8. And I could factor out a 2 from the denominator, because 2 times x plus 2 is 2x plus 4. The 2's cancel. We're left with x over x plus 2. And that's our final answer. Let's go to number 2. Two y plus 1 over 3y to the 5th plus 7 over 6y to the 4th. In this case, the denominators are not the same. We need to make them the same, and we know the only way to change the denominator is by multiplying by something over itself. Well, let's look at the numbers first, 3 and 6. Well, I know I can make this first 3 is 6 by just multiplying by 2 over 2. So now the first denominator will be 6y to the 5th. The second denominator is 6y to the 4th. So it just needs another y. If I multiply y to the 4th by y, it would be y to the 5th. So I'm going to multiply the second fraction by y over y. So now we have, in the left fraction, its denominator is 6y to the 5th. And the right fraction, its denominator is 6y to the 5th. Now what are the numerators? Well, in the left fraction, we're multiplying 2 times the numerator. Well, it's 2 times the entire numerator, not just 2 times this 2y. We have to multiply 2 times both terms. So this will be 4y plus 2, and this is 7y. When we combine like terms, we get 11y plus 2 over our denominator. Let's ask if we can simplify. In the numerator, you might see that, oh, there's a y, so it can cancel with one of these y's, but no. Only if we can factor out a y from the numerator. But we can't, because this 2 does not have a y to factor out. You cannot simplify the 2 and the 6, because once again, there's no 2 to factor out of the numerator, because 11 does not have a factor of 2. Therefore, this is as far as we can go. That is our answer. Number 3. All right, let's get into a problem that looks a little different. Now, for number 3 here, notice that for the first time, we have denominators that are binomials. All of our denominators previously were either the same or they were monomials. So think about what you might multiply by to make the denominators the same. Well, you might think I could multiply this first fraction by -3. You'll see this isn't going to work. If I multiply by -3, it does not make the denominator x minus 3. It makes it -3x minus 3. So we can't multiply by some monomial. Instead, we recognize that x minus 1 is a factor, so it needs the factor x minus 3. So we're going to multiply by x minus 3 over x minus 3. And you probably guessed that that means the second fraction, it's missing the factor x plus 1. So we're going to multiply it by the binomial factor x plus 1. Now the denominators will be the same. So the first fraction is going to be 2x minus 6 over, now we're just going to leave this in its factored form. That's fine, we don't need to multiply all that out. Minus 3x plus 3 over its denominator. Now we're ready to combine. Now remember, this minus needs to go to both 3x and the 3. So 2x minus 3x is -x. -6 minus 3 is -9. So we get -x minus 9 over x minus 3 times x plus 1. And if we could get a factor of x minus 3 or x plus 1 in the numerator, then we could simplify. But -x minus 9, the only factor it has is -1 and x plus 9. So nothing will cancel. You'll see a homework problem very similar to this in homework, I think 7.2 it is. Last one. Okay, number 4. I'll do this in blue just to make it clear here. Okay, number 4, this is going to be very similar to your challenge question on the quiz. So if you can get this one right as well, you would get a 4. 2 over x squared minus 4 plus 1 over x minus 2, or sorry, x plus 2. The key here is something should jump out to us immediately. The left denominator, we should notice very quickly that it's a difference of 2 squares. Therefore, it factors really nicely to x plus 2 times x minus 2. So just like number 3, you probably see that the second fraction is simply missing the factor x minus 2. So we're going to multiply by x minus 2 over x minus 2. So that gives us 2 over x plus 2 times x minus 2 plus anything times 1 is itself, so x minus 2 over x plus 2 over x minus 2. And now we can just add these together. 2 plus -2 cancels, so the only thing in the numerator is x. All right, and so that's our lesson for today, Wednesday, for the purple and gray classes that didn't have class today due to the school closure.